Chant for 5 minutes. Jai Radha Madhava Jai Hari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Gopi Jana Vallabha Jamuna Tira Jamuna Tira Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Prabhupada, 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 Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Sitaram Lakshmana Sitaram Lakshmana Sitaram Sitaram Lakshmana Sitaram Sitaram Lakshmana Jai Jai Shri Lord Ramachandra ki Jai. The holy appearance of Lord Ramachandra ki Jai. So we'll read from chapter 10 and do the summary first. Pastime of the Supreme Lord Ramachandra. This is by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. We'll hear from them first. This 10th chapter describes how Lord Ramachandra appeared in the dynasty of Maharaj Katvanga. It also describes the Lord's activities, telling how he killed Ravana and returned to Ayodhya, the capital of his kingdom. The son of Maharaj Katvanga was Dirghabahu, and his son was Raghu. The son of Raghu was Aja. The son of Aja was Dashrath. The son of Dashrath was Lord Ramachandra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Lord descended into this world in his full quadruple expansion, as Lord Ramachandra, Lakshman, Bharat, and Shatrugna, great sages like Valmiki, who were actually in knowledge of the absolute truth, described his transcendental pastimes. Srila Shukadeva Goswami described these pastimes in brief. Lord Ramachandra went with Vishwamitra and killed Rakshasas like Maricha. After breaking the stout and strong bow known as Aradhanu, the Lord married Mother Sita and cut down the prestige of Purusharam. To obey the order of his father, he entered the forest accompanied by Lakshman and Sita. There he cut off the nose of Surpanaka and killed the associates of Ravana, headed by Kara and Dushana. Ravana's kidnapping of Sita Devi was the beginning of this demon's misfortune. When Maricha assumed the form of a golden deer, Lord Ramachandra went to bring the deer to please Sita Devi. But in the meantime, Ravana took advantage of the Lord's absence to kidnap her. When Sita Devi was kidnapped, Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lakshman, searched for her throughout the forest. In the course of this search, they met Jatayu. Then the Lord killed the demon Kabanda and the commander Vali and established a friendly relationship with Sugriva. After organizing the military strength of the monkeys and going with them to the shore of the sea, the Lord awaited the arrival of Samudra, the ocean, personified. But when Samudra did not come, the Lord, the master of Samudra, became angry. Then Samudra came to the Lord with great haste and surrendered to him, wanting to help him in every way. The Lord then attempted to bridge the ocean, and with the help of advice from Vibhishana, he attacked Ravana's capital, Lanka. Previously, Hanuman, the eternal servant of the Lord, has set fire to Lanka. And now, with the help of Lakshman, the forces of Lord Ramachandra killed all the Rakshas soldiers. Then Lord Ramachandra personally killed Ravana. Mandodari and the other wives lamented for Ravana, and in accordance with Lord Ramachandra's order, Vishnu performed the funeral ceremonies for all the dead in the family. Lord Ramachandra then gave Vishnu the right to rule Lanka and also granted him a long duration of life. The Lord delivered Sita Devi from the Ashoka forest and carried her in a flower airplane to his capital Ayodhya, where he was received by his brother Bharata. When Lord Ramachandra entered Ayodhya, Bharat brought his wooden shoes. Vibhishana and Sugriva held a whisk and fan. Hanuman carried an umbrella. Shatyugna carried the Lord's bow and two quivers, and Sita Devi carried a water pot containing water from holy places. Angada carried a sword, and Jambavan, Richraj, carried a shield. After Lord Ramachandra, accompanied by Lord Lakshman and Mother Sita Devi, met all his relatives, the great sage Vashishta enthroned him as king. This chapter ends with a short description of Lord Ramachandra's rule in Ayodhya. Do you have a discussion this morning from any of these verses?
This morning, we focused on reading Srila Prabhupada's lecture in Hawaii in 1969 on Ramachandran's appearance day.
Okay.
And of course, Prabhupada references these pastimes, and it's, of course, a transcendently wonderful lecture. So that's where we focus this morning, because I was thinking you might focus on the ninth.
Well, a little bit, but these others join in as you feel inspired to say something. I'll just take one verse and we'll do the Sanskrit, the transliteration, and then the proper. This is text 29. So see if you can repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Jnanatirandasya Jnananjanaślakaya Chakshuralmritam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So text 29 is as follows. Shri Shuka Uvacha Svanam Vibhishanash Chakre Koshala Indra Anumoditaha Pitri Medha Vidhanena Yat Uktam Samparayakam. It's kind of a longer word. Let's break it up. Samparayakam. So the translation was the word by word. Sri Shuka Uvacha, Sri Sukadev Goswami said, Swanam, of his own family members, Vibhishana, the brother of Ravana, and devotee of Lord Ramachandra, Chakre, executed, Kosala Indra Anu Moditaha, approved by the king of Kosala, Lord Ramachandra, Pitra Meda Vidhanena, by the funeral ceremony performed by the son after the death of his father or some family member, yat uktam, which have been prescribed, samparayikam, duties to be performed after a person's death to save him from the path to hell. Translation. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Vibhishana, the pious brother of Ravana and devotee of Lord Ramachandra, received approval from Lord Ramachandra, the king of Kosala. Then he performed the prescribed funeral ceremonies for his family members to save them from the path to hell. Please repeat. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said,
Sri Shukadeva Goswami said,
Vibhishana,
Vibhishana,
pious brother of Ravana
the pious brother of God,
and devotee of Lord Ramachandra,
devotee of Lord Ramachandra,
received approval from Lord Ramachandra,
received approval from Lord Ramachandra,
king of Kosala.
king of Kosala.
Then he performed the prescribed funeral ceremonies
Then he performed the prescribed funeral ceremony
for his family members
for his family members
to save them from the path to hell.
to save them from the path to hell.
Report. By His Divine Grace, yes, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila. After giving up the body, one is transferred to another body. But sometimes, if one is too sinful, he is checked from transmigrating to another body, and thus he becomes a ghost. To save a diseased person from ghostly life, the funeral ceremony or Shraddha ceremony, as prescribed in authorized Shastras, must be performed. Ravana was killed by Lord Ramachandra and was destined for a hellish life. But by Lord Ramachandra's advice, Vibhishana, Ravana's brother, performed all the duties prescribed in relation to the dead. Thus, Lord Ramachandra was kind to Ravana even after Ravana's death. So, just a few comments from this, and also hearing some other discussion today earlier. Lord Ramachandra, he's known to almost everybody who happens to have taken birth in India and now other parts of the world as an ideal ruler. There's rule everywhere, you know. Every country has got a prime minister or a president. Every state's got a governor. Every corporation has some kind of CEO. In the house, there's the head of the family. Sometimes the head of the family may be in a male's body, sometimes in a female's body. But there's different degrees of leadership or being the head all over creation. And Lord Ramachandra is especially glorified because he is the ideal king. Not only the ideal king, the ideal husband. Not only the ideal husband, but the ideal son. Not only the ideal son, but the ideal brother, the ideal father. So everything about Lord Ramachandra is ideal. Why? Because that's the difference between us as tiny, fallible living beings and the Lord and his incarnations who are all infallible. This word infallible is clearly given in the scriptures, and the common saying is nobody is perfect, right? We all grew up with that, nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. You do yours, I'll do mine. Right? Your truth is your truth, my truth is my truth. We hear that all the time. Mm-hmm. So, and that's considered a liberal, democratic way of thinking. And that applies, actually is true because it applies to all of us who are in this realm of being fallible people. We're tiny, we can make mistakes, the condition we all have read somewhere or the other, almost every week, some verse comes up, some lecture comes up, some discussion comes up, that we are subject to illusion. We have the imperfect senses. We don't really understand things as they are, as received through sensual perception. We can commit mistakes. We have a cheating or misleading propensity. We can do all kinds of things that are not helpful to ourselves and not helpful to others. Even though we may profess to love like our family members, but we do things that are damaging to our family members. For example, the habits of diet. All over the world nowadays, as part of this democratic way of thinking or being open-minded, is that eat what you like. It's okay, just, if it pleases you, just go ahead. But at the same time, we hear, even today's verse and purport, that the words used here by Lord Ramachandra's advice, Vibhishana performed all the duties prescribed in relation to the dead. We also are given indication that after giving up the body, one is transferred to another body. Is that transfer done by the US government or Russian government or the Chinese government? Who arranges the transfer of each one of us from one body to another? Who arranges it? Huh? Yes. Not in our hands. It's higher powers. Who decides when we're going to leave this body? We don't decide when we leave this body. So who decides when the sun is going to come up? Can we pass a resolution here that tomorrow the sun should not come up? No. Can we have a long discussion that tomorrow the sun should come up 20 minutes later? Or maybe it should come up from another direction? We can go on and on and on and on. Not a blade of grass moves without the sanction of higher authorities, higher control. So people hanker for an ideal life, but the ideal life is what? What is the word that Srila Prabhupada has used many, many times? That we're all hankering for a certain kind of life, and especially a certain kind of ruler, a certain kind of a father, or a certain kind of a mother, brother, or a certain kind of a husband, certain kind of a authority. What are we all hankering for?
Affection.
Affection. There's a word that Prabhupada uses repeatedly. That we want something, but we don't deserve it. We don't want to do what needs to be done to invite that kind of life. Ram Raj, right?
Kingdom of Ram.
Kingdom of Ram. We all want the kingdom of Ram. The elections, who are they trying? India, the elections are going on. US elections are coming soon. What's everybody hoping for? Without knowing it, without saying it. When they vote, what are they hoping for? To get that Ram Raj, the kingdom of Ram, kingdom of the ideal leader. So that's what Lord Ramachandra is known for. He is the ideal person in every way. And we all are hankering for that kind of leadership, that kind of rule, that kind of authority. But we don't want to live, as we read today, according to the advice of Ram. Ram says you live like this, you eat like this, you function like this, you speak like this, you behave like this. You have ceremonies for birth, you have ceremonies for somebody's passing away, like here, reading about Ravana. you conduct your family responsibilities in a certain way, you take care of your children in a certain way, you take care of your parents in a certain way. Everything is described in the scriptures. They're giving us complete and absolute information, which is infallible. We use that word before. So Ram Raj is what we're hankering for, and to invite Lord Ramachandra into our lives, at least on an individual basis, we can live according to the advice of Lord Ramachandra. Today is a very important day because it's the appearance day we're celebrating for Lord Ramachandra. It's also a very special day because in Vrindavan, the deities installed by, that many of you have seen, Radha and Ramachandra, were installed today in the year 2006. And they just just a short while ago, they were brought into their new residence, which is going to be the tallest temple of Krishna and Radharani or Radha Ramachandra. And they may actually have deities around Sita Lakshmana Hanuman there also. They're still deciding what to do in the other towers, therefore tower. But this is going to be the tallest temple in the world. And if you see what they put up right now, it's a tiny little portion of what eventually is going to come up over there. I'm told that the government of India is anticipating that they'll promote this temple and this campus as a place more important to visit than even the Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal is considered one of the 7 or 8 wonders of the world, but the government is thinking that this place is going to be promoted even more aggressively. So, by Krishna's plan, by Lord Ramachandra's plan, if people from all over the world start going to have darshan of these deities, it's for their huge benefit. Ayodhya, this part over here that we went back to Ayodhya. Lord Ramachandra, his appearance place is Ayodhya, and again, I'm going to use the word government because this is good. We're all looking for good governance. In Ayodhya, they have completely banned the usage, consumption, sale of anything to do with meat, fish, or eggs, and with alcohol. I think even cigarettes. They're just not allowed anymore. So, and this is an action that's taken by the government, and they're trying to bring in Ram Raj. This is one of the ways of doing it, that the government has the courage to say we're going to do what Lord Ramachandra has asked our advice, and we're not going to do what everybody thinks should be done. We don't care about the votes, and they're having this success. I was told that they plan to make Ayodhya like the Vatican, but much better. So, and it's in a very, very starting stages. This picture that we have is a picture of the deity. I don't know, any of you have been to Ayodhya since the new temple was just opened there? It's very initial stages, just pass that around. So we were, by Lord Ramachandra's grace and his permission, we were both there a couple of weeks ago. And they just opened a new airport just so people can have darshan of Lord Ramachandra. And it's the very early stages, but it's nicely organized. There's no vehicles allowed near the temple, and you have to walk quite a bit. And then the lines are moving all the time, so there's no rushing, there's no pushing, there's police everywhere. So they're controlling the crowds very nicely. They're doing things properly. And you go in line, and they allow you to have quick darshan of this deity that you see. There's a tremendous history of this deity, which I'll ask my wife to share because she just got something about that today. You were saying about the stuff, the color.
Sculptor.
Yeah.
This fifth generation sculptor.
In South India.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, oh, and the beauty is, it's carved out of a stone that's over a million years old, that's what it said. Well, Nick found that particular rock, you know. I never heard of this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they looked at deities from all over. There were proposals coming and plans coming from all over India. But this is the deity that they were inspired to somehow install there. So it's going to be a very gorgeous place. This is just a starting system. You come in, it's very organized. You go in, lines, police, as I mentioned, darshan, go out and the other side. Everybody that goes out is given some prasad. I gave you some, right?
Yes, we did.
well, you have to see.
I was saving it for tonight and distribute.
Okay. So then everybody gets prasadam. There's place to leave your shoes and wash your hands, and then you can leave. And there's no people pushing to that you should buy this or buy that, like it happens in holy places sometimes. It's peaceful, and when you come out, there are some vendors who are selling pictures like this. That's right. I got it. So we can hope that that leaders all over the world, they will take inspiration from Lord Ramachandra. They will take his advice. They will want to serve as he served the citizens. They described Ramachandra was very affectionate to his citizens. And that's why people loved him, because the leaders amongst leadership qualities, they're very affectionate to their citizens. So I mentioned earlier that how long are we able to go?
Oh, until we're complete. I think we can go another 30, 40 minutes if we want,
That's 7.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'd mentioned there with the Prabhu that there's 99% of the things in my life I don't want to talk about. And we don't want to hear about them, right? Just say yes, we don't. Just say yes, we don't want to hear about 99%. Yeah, just say it. Yeah, I don't want to spoil the atmosphere. So, but the 1% that I have fond memories was that when we were very young, there was no TV, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, mobile phones, and all that. And I don't think we even had a phone. So, but in September and October of every year, the time of Dussehra, which is when Ravana is killed. They have in India, a lot of places they have this big display of Ram is shooting his arrows, and it goes and pierces Ravana. And they have this huge, I think they've done it here also at the temple sometimes. And this huge, what is it called?
Effigy.
Effigy of Ravana. It goes up in flames and everybody, very happy, and Ramachandra is applauded, things like that. So that was going on, but the other thing that used to go on is that almost every neighborhood for 3 weeks, different groups of actors and actresses would come together, mostly actors at that time, this was a long time ago. And they would perform the Ramayana Leela, called the Ram Leela. And every night, my brother and I would go to attend Ram Leela. That was our evening activity. And we didn't know how wonderful it was, but it felt wonderful because we couldn't wait to go to the next one, the next one, and the next one. And it was all the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra as given in the Ramayana that were being acted out. And this was happening in almost every neighborhood. So, things have changed a lot, but it was different then. And then the rest of the time, I remember my mother used to help us, like when you read bedtime stories to put children to rest. How many of you have done that? You've done that? You've done that. Everybody, all the ladies, only maybe some of the men also. I didn't do much of that, so one of my faults. My wife took care of all of that very nicely. But my mother used to read every night to us to put us to sleep from the Mahabharata. So she read the entire Mahabharata to us to help us go to sleep. So those are some very nice memories. I wish I could have more of those and less memories of other things, but that was a fortunate period. And my mother, when I met Srila Prabhupada the first time on a private one-to-one meeting, I mentioned it was about something about my mother, and she was actually a Ram Bhakta and still is. Although now she's 90, she's going to be 96 very soon. We saw her. She's had some strokes, and I'll share this with you because this can happen to all of us, and we have to prepare for it. She's going to be 96. She had a stroke about 15 months ago, and then she had a mini stroke, and as a result of that, she cannot speak. She cannot take care of her body in any way. We don't even know if she has proper vision, and she cannot feed herself. She cannot do in her body hygiene, and mostly she just sleeps. But the people who are taking care of us, nice staff people, they'll take her for a little walk, and then they'll stop regularly and they'll say Hare Krishna. And she was saying that till recently, but now she doesn't even say that. Just 2 words. And then they'll say Jai Shri Ram. So she would say that, but now she won't even say that. So the only 2 words that come out of her mouth now, only 2 words that I know of, that she's able to repeat when she's prompted, are Radhe Radhe. Radhe Radhe. So, who knows how her childhood is carrying her forward to this kind of situation. As far as I'm concerned, she looks at me and like, who are you? And I don't know if she's angry with me or she's not able to recognize me. I don't know, but this is how life turns out. We have no idea, and this is what we read today also about the death of relatives. It's everything is being said here that we all have to face in some way or the other, in some form or the other. So that's other people speak and say something, what you've read, what you've heard. We can have more discussion. If there are any questions, then one of us can try and answer them. Yes.
Your mother is from Vrindavan?
My mother?
Vrindavan?
No, she was actually, her birth in this life was in Punjab.
She grew up as a child in India.
She grew up for a while, then she went to close to Ayodhya, Lucknow. She was actually born in Sargodha, but she grew up in Lucknow, which is very close to Ayodhya. So I think that may have had an effect on her in terms of being a Ram Bhakta.
Well, because she said Radhe Radhe, you figure that the resident of Vrindavan, that's what they all read.
That's what they say. I think it's just, Prabhupada's mercy on her. And I'll share this with all of you because this something that all of you will experience in your lives if you haven't already done so. We went to Vrindavan, my mother and I think it was 1976. We went winter, early 1976. We walked into Prabhupada's quarters in the evening. We just come from Delhi. And Prabhupada was having darshan, the room was full of all kinds of guests. And we walked in the back, like Prabhupada was sitting, let's say, on his vasan here, and where you are, that's where the door was in this quarter. So we walked in and he said, "Oh, who has come?" So somebody said my name and his mother. So Prabhupada said, "Oh, tell them to come here." So I walked through, the big assembly of people right to Prabhupada's desk. And he had different pictures of different deities on his desk, deities that Prabhupada has installed all over the world. I think there's like 4 or 5 pictures. So he took a garland off one of the pictures and gave it to me, and he said, "Give this to your mother." So I took the garland, and my mother was, being a shy lady and respectful, she was still a little bit in the back. So I gave that to her. And then Prabhupada looked up at me, and then he took another garland. He said, "No, give this to her also." So I gave the second garland to her. And then Prabhupada just for whatever reasons he chose, he looked at the entire group of people. And he said, "This lady has reached the perfection of motherhood."
Wow.
So
I've been giving birth to you.
no, because so if that applies to me, then it applies to all of you, right? So it was a message for everybody. That's why I'm sharing it with you. Not for me, it was for everybody. That if somehow we can take shelter of Srila Prabhupada, just think of not only how fortunate we all can be and are, but just think of how much good fortune, as we read in the Shastras, we bring to our family members in the past or in the future, the older generation, the younger generations. So it's not to be taken lightly, the good fortune that we have. It's not to be taken lightly. Not to be taken lightly, how we can spread this good fortune to others, knowingly or unknowingly. This is a very, very, very fortunate situation. Another time related to this in Chicago, I think this was in 1974, in Prabhupada, the Rath Yatra was going on, the temple was in Evanston, Illinois. Kishore was still there, the deities. And Prabhupada was living near the temple, almost across the street in some rented apartment. So one day he had a meeting with his disciples and their parents. Many of the parents from Western devotees were visiting. So we were sitting, the room was probably this big, and I would say that there may be a few more, maybe 10 more people, 30, 40 people altogether, persons altogether. And Prabhupada was answering questions in a very beautiful way. People were very happy to be with him. And then somebody asked Srila Prabhupada, I don't remember exactly whether it was one word, "What will happen to the parents of your disciples?" What will happen to the parents of your disciples? Anybody knows what Prabhupada said? Or you may have read that conversation because it's there in the conversation books. Huh?
Accident.
Anybody else? So tell us what you know.
He said, they're all liberated.
Yeah, he raised his hands like that, and he said, "All liberated." All the parents of my disciples. Question was, what will happen to the parents of my disciples? All liberated. So this is what we're dealing with when we turn to the pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, Lord Krishna, and the countless incarnations, and to the pastimes of his pure devotees, infallible persons like Srila Prabhupada, who has descended from the spiritual world to take us back to our home. There's no reason for Prabhupada to come, but he came out of one word that is being used recently. You may have heard that just a week, 10 days ago, United Nations, they had a ceremony on April 2nd in New York. And the ceremony was to celebrate the distribution of 4 billion meals of prasadam to the children in the schools in India, Akshapatra, through the Akshapatra program. So they were given an award for serving 4 billion meals. Not 4,000, not 400,000, not 4 million, not 40 million, not 400 million. It's 4 billion. So the mission of that particular program, United Nations has a program called Zero Hunger. So we are hoping, we can pray that the United Nations will give us charge of that program. So the whole world can get prasadam. Now Krishna can make it happen. Or Ramachandra can make it happen, because they have nothing but compassion and love for everybody. So 4 billion, 5 billion, 8 billion is not far away. And then to think of ways and means, and that it, just like the Red Cross is known to bring relief to people all over the world. So there's some discussion that Akshapatra will become known for getting the world to the point of zero hunger. And their mission is that no one will be deprived of education because of hunger. No child will be deprived of education because of hunger. So all these things are possible, they're all doable.
You were gonna say what Prabhu said at the end, that he worked by Srila Prabhupada, you were gonna mention.
Yeah, you saw, I think you saw that I sent it to you. I sent you the
I got it, I saw it, yeah.
you want to speak about the speech that he gave? The Pandit.
Well, there were talks from both Chanchalapati Prabhu and Madhupandit Prabhu. Well, I mean, certainly what most sticks out for me is I was so moved by there in the United Nations. He really just in just a very soft, humble, brilliant way, he brought in Srila Prabhupada about how Srila Prabhupada is the inspiration, and he talked about Prabhupada saw so much pain when he saw children fighting for some food scraps with dogs, and Prabhupada said no one goes hungry, within at least a 10-mile radius. And then Madhu Pandit, he announced to like all the world leaders, like he said, like, yeah, we're not dedicated just to India. He said, like, if any of you in your countries you want to bring us in, because I could see the leaders of Akshaya Patra, Madhu Pandit, Chanchalapati, they were being praised, rightly so, for their compassion and their high-level expert management.
Mm-hmm.
So Madhu Pandit was saying, yeah, bring us to your country and we'll set up these kitchens like that. So that also stuck out for me.
What did he say about you?
He said, I may not be able to remember the exact words, but he said the inspiration when he gave the story of the hungry children.
Yeah.
He said, our founder, Srila Prabhupada, out of his compassion, he said that no child should go hungry. So he said it's only because of Srila Prabhupada, the founder, he actually said the founder of the Hare Krishna mission, that this program is going on.
Yeah, wonderful.
And to say that in front of such an assembly is, it requires some courage, because you're afraid that people may not take it properly or they may not take it well. But he didn't hold back.
Yeah, so he's very bold, very bold.
Yeah. And he was, he just came right out and said it. I met him in Delhi just the night before he was flying to New York. And we've talked about this. I also sent him some text messages saying, please think of a way to glorify Srila Prabhupada. So he was saying it's difficult because, we have this award is coming from the United Nations, and they don't like to bring in religion or religious leaders so much. But he said, okay, let me try and figure out how to do it. And then Krishna gave him the intelligence. And then he also said that, the Akshaya food distribution program is a partnership with the Indian government in many states, and also with corporate leaders in India, or many major corporations and the government leaders. So somebody may say, oh, that's not good, but if the government gets behind supporting activities that please Lord Ramachandra, how can anybody complain? All the food is cooked without any kind of forbidden items like onion and garlic and mushrooms, and it's all offered. I personally visited, and many of you have visited. They offer everything for Lord Jagannath, and people, the kids get prasadam, and they go to school, and then you have people like entities like United Nations, and even the President, Prime Minister of India, Mr. Modi, he went to Vrindavan to the same location that I talked about, and he served himself with his own hands the 3 billionth meal. And his favorite gift now, actually every time he meets the world dignitary of leader, he gives them one book. You know what that book is? Yes, your Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. So, and then I just got something 2-3 days ago from somebody else that he's now adopted cows in his personal home. And in Delhi. So he is the prime minister of soon to be the largest country in the world, and he's taking care of cows in his own house in a very loving way, giving a message to the rest of the world leaders and to the people of India, so.
He also went to Ayodhya for the opening of the temple.
Yeah.
Full Dandavats.
Yeah. And he loved it. He said, my whole life has changed because of whatever service he was able to do for Lord Ramachandra. Modi says that, my whole life has changed, my whole vision has changed. So it's not, it's a powerful thing. Then after the United Nations event, I spoke to Madhu Pandit Prabhu and asked him what happened after the event. Anybody came up, he said, yeah, many ambassadors and leaders of nations, they came up and they said, we want your help to establish this in different parts of the world.
Nice.
So I said, what are they asking for? I asked him, I said, are they asking for your kitchen construction and distribution and cooking expertise, or your distribution expertise, or fundraising expertise? Because, there's so many components to doing the whole thing. So, and I know a lot about it because I was much more closely involved for, about 10 years when they were first starting out. And he said, no, they want us to come and run the whole thing, like distribute prasadam,
Okay.
Wow.
So, that was a very encouraging.
Very encouraging.
Yeah. So,
Very encouraging.
yeah. So we should all wish them well, and whatever minor things here and there need to be adjusted time to them. That's the nature of things. We always need to improve and get better, but there's a lot of good things going on there. So what else?
Hare Krishna.
Very well.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very, very inspiring. I have a question for you, but that's going to lead to a great discussion. So I wanted to say, first of all, that I see that people like Madhu Pandit Prabhu and Chanchalapati Prabhu. My wife and I and daughter stayed there at Bangalore for 1 year in 1991 when they were actually blasting the granite out of the hill to build the huge complex they have now. So the fact that particularly those devotees, and so many devotees, especially their wives who are helping them, are changing the world in such a dramatic way through the UN, which Prabhupada condemned it in its material form. It's just such a tribute to Prabhupada, who of course is representing Lord Ramachandra. And do we have time I wanted to read one of the particular purports from Bhagavatam. Do we have time for me to read a little bit?
Sure. We have.
That is.
Sure.
This is the ninth canto, 10th chapter, I think you were reading from also,
Right.
the 50th verse. Hang on. No, it's the next verse, 51. Translation, Lord Ramachandra became king during Treta Yuga, but because of his good government, the age was like Satya Yuga. Everyone was religious and completely happy. You may have already read that. Purport, among the four yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapar, and Kali, the Kali Yuga is the worst. But if the process of Varnashram Dharma is introduced, even in this age of Kali, the situation of Satya Yuga can be invoked. The Hare Krishna movement, Krishna consciousness movement, is meant for this purpose. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan astiheya ko mahanguna kirtanan eva krishnasya mukta sangha parambhaja. Quote, my dear king, although Kali Yuga is full of faults, there is still one good quality about this age. Simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, one can become free from material bondage and be promoted to the transcendental kingdom, end quote. Bhagavatam 12:351. If people take to this Sankirtan movement of chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, they will certainly be freed from the contamination of Kali Yuga, and the people of this age will be happy as people were in Satya Yuga, the golden age. Anyone, anywhere, can easily take to this Hare Krishna movement. One need only chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, observe the rules and regulations, and stay free from the contaminations of sinful life. And I especially remark these next two sentences. It's all astounding and wonderful. He says, even if one is sinful, because he mentions observing the rules and regulations, and then he says, even if one is sinful and cannot give up sinful life immediately, if he chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with devotion and faith, he will certainly be freed from all sinful activities, and his life will be successful. Param Vijayate, Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. This is the blessing of Lord Ramachandra, who has appeared in this age of Kali as Lord Gaurasundar.
Yeah. Very nice purport. Thank you.
Yes. And the purport of 53 is also similar, very similar, but I don't know what time we have. Thank you very much. And maybe others would like to say something.
We just ask anybody if they have any questions, otherwise you have the floor for more time.
So some hands up.
Any comments, questions?
Did they ever come up?
Make a little comment. Just how I was, where I'm at today, appreciating about Ram Raj. Well, first I want to say how enlightening it was to hear about Madhukanda and things going on there. But as far as my connection to it, it feels more on the emotional and spiritual side. So when I think about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is like the Father, like the King is like the Father.
Mhm.
So there's the relationship that's there. And so I've been looking a lot, it's just for myself in recent times, I've been studying a lot of attachment theory about feeling like secure or insecure in relationship. I'm just kind of feeling that the people in the kingdom of Ram Raj, they're having this Vaikuntha experience to be free of anxiety. They're living with this sense of peace and security and wellness.
Mm-hmm.
And so much contrasting that with what we're experiencing mostly around the world nowadays.
Right.
The level of suffering, discord, the lack of safety that people are feeling. So I'm just appreciating that this especially when the king is the supreme personality of God, that on every level to have this relationship protection of the father figure,
Mhm.
how profound it is on spiritually, on the emotional level. That's how I think I'm appreciating.
Nice, thank you.
Yeah, Nichigopal Prabhu.
I just wanted to share one verse that is also known as Eka Shloki Ramayana.
Hmm.
It has the whole Ramayana in one shloka.
Maybe.
I just read that one. It says Ado Rama Tapovanadi Gamana. We start with Ramachandra going to the forest.
This is 9th canto, 10th chapter.
I think it's somewhere from some other Purana.
From
Not from Bhagavad.
okay.
Ado Rama Tapovanadi Gamanam Hatva Mrigam Kanchana. After that, Ramachandra killed Mrigam, the deer, golden deer. Then Vedehi Haranam. Vedehi is Sita. Vedehi is from Vedehi, she was from Vedehi district. Jatayu Maranam. And Jatayu died.
Mhm.
Sugriva Sambhashanam. There was a discussion between Ramachandra and Sugriva how to attack Ravana. There was Sambhashanam between both of them. Vali Nigrahanam. The Vali got killed.
Mhm.
And Samudra Taranam. There was a Ramachandra crossed the ocean.
Right.
Lanka Puri Dahanam. Ramachandra Dahana means it just when Hanuman burned the Lanka. Paschat, after that, Ravana Kumbhakarnam Hananam. Ravana and Kumbhakarna died. Ramachandra killed both of them. Etehi Ramayanam, iti ekashloki Ramayanam Sampurna. That is whole Ramayana in one shloka.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Then the all the knowledge, all the leadership, all the love, all the wisdom, all wealth, all renunciation, all purification. It's there in the Maha Mantra, right? So Maha Mantra has, it's Krishna, but also Ram, and Prabhupada said Ram can be Balaram or also Lord Ramachandra. And then Hare is Srimati Radharani. So as you read, Prabhu, the Maha Mantra has everything, all the Vedic, complete Vedic knowledge, complete Vedic wisdom. That shloka that you just mentioned, similar to in that way of losing a thing, that the Maha Mantra is God, everything is Krishna has descended in this age, but Ramachandra has descended this age. Srimati Radharani is with us. They've descended in their names, and which is Harinam, 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 Kevalam. This is the beauty of this Maha Mantra. It's just like this prasadam distribution is going on, and we can make plans to somehow, it's our secret weapon, right? We all know. Anybody here would like to stop taking prasadam for the rest of their lives?
It's a very bad idea.
Anybody would like to take prasadam for the rest of their lives every day? Raise your hands. So prasadam is our secret weapon even for ourselves. Right? We like to shoot ourselves with that weapon every day. You can't do without it. So similarly, the Maha Mantra, not only we think of how to get prasadam into every person's life somehow or the other, restaurants, akshapatra, packed foods, Rath Yatra distribution, little packages, so many ways to prepare prasadam and distribute in so many forms. So that can be a undercover attack that is going on all the time, right?
Hmm.
And then same with the holy name. You know, how can we somehow or the other get people to even chant the holy name of the Lord just one time before they leave this body? How can we do that? Prabhupada gives the example of how in previous times, not so far back, businesses and children would always be named after some incarnation of Lord, right? Some like we're doing with our children now. What are your children's names?
They have their birth names and then that we gave them spiritual names.
Yeah, so what are the spiritual names?
Lakshman and Siddhanta.
Okay. So who calls him Lakshman and Siddhanta? They're friends sometimes? No? Family members? Some?
Just me, probably.
Okay. So at least you're chanting. But as they get older, our hope is that more and more people will take the names like that, So we name our children, we name our businesses, we name, the businesses, what Prabhupada talks about, and the children, that they give them the names of the Lord, so that without knowing it, people are chanting the names of the Lord. So I remember in my very early years when I was working at a professional occupation, at that time they used to run computer programs with these deck of cards. You probably don't know what they look like even, right? It's called the punch deck system of running computer programs. Prabhu remembers.
I remember, yeah, we did that.
So you would take a box of cards like that.
With different holes.
And holes, and then and we would feed them through the computers. And the computers were, this sometimes half the size of this room. Now this one is more powerful than the computers at that time. So run them through, but then you go 3 hours, 4 hours later to the computer center to pick up your job. And your job would have some kind of name on it. So I would always name the jobs some name of Krishna Ram. So somebody will come and say, "Oh, that's Radhika. That's not mine, and that's Ram, and that's not mine." So some minor things. So think of ways that people can take the holy name. Meditation, as you've been teaching, and all the papers you've written, and the reasoning what the doctors have done.
Yeah.
So we should be. This is what our brains are meant for: is to. Prabhupada expects this of us, to rack our brains, how to get people to chant the holy name of the Lord, how to get them to take some prasadam, take a book, some or the other.
No. You shared about children, I remember that.
I
I know when, what's that?
Can we come here?
Oh, no, this is just a brief comment. That I know when, because we used to take Sita, also, Abhi and Sita also played soccer and other sports.
Yeah.
And so, because in this community, so you'd have the coach who's just, from a lecture like that, and it's like, Krishna, pass the ball. Hey, Govinda, shoot. Like that. So all the coaches are like going back to God.
What about Sita?
Sita also, yeah.
Sita must be on a volleyball team or.
Sita did soccer, she did track and field, she did a lot of sports. Tennis, she did tennis. Damayanti, you had a comment?
Oh, Hare Krishna, thank you. Thank you for the discussion and maybe that's inspiring us. I was just going to share that I recently, my father passed away and I was, I was immediately ready to be of service as a devotee and also still play the role of sad daughter, both, but able to do, because I've been trained by the devotees. So anyway, I can share about his passing, which I was able to be there, and he was wearing neck beads and I had holy water, tilak, and Shri Day threads and chanting, Prabhupada chanting and me chanting, so that was amazing to have him pass
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
He was not aware, but, you know, he was intubated, you know, so, but, you know,
But he was hearing Prabhupada and chanting,
yeah,
you know, Ganga Jal and some sacred waters.
I tried to do that, yes, so anyway, but if there's an event and I was like, oh, like, he was like, we decided to, invite everyone, like, everyone's invited, that was like the plan. And I was like, I'll be in charge of the feast. And everyone agreed, like, somehow I sort of gently presented, you know, I can fundraise the whole feast, like, I know that there's just financial concerns. So like, me and my devotee friends, we can fundraise the whole feast. And, anyway, I just tried to like take a burden off by taking care of this whole feast, of course. Ultimately, anyway, it doesn't matter, but actually, there were so much donations that came that I ended up, so other people were paying for the feast, so it was like all of friends and family ended up paying for most of the feast, and then there were devotees who contributed, and I contributed a little, but it was like, it all came together, but.
You engage them all in devotional service.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, I felt really happy, like 125 people came,
Hmm.
and they got all prasadam, and. Well, that was difficult. I tried to find as many people in Orlando, devotees as possible, but I ended up getting cheese platters, fruit platters, crackers, vegetable platters, and then I did have devotee cakes from here that I brought down, and then also I found a vegetarian restaurant, a vegan restaurant, and I ordered something there, even though I just wanted them to feel like something fried and something really sumptuous, so I put one thing. Anyway, it was my best, that just made sense to me, instead of them all having like finger food, I just gave them something fried and bananas, anyway, the point is, it was really satisfying to distribute to 110 people, and then there was so much left over, I walked around, like there were like extra platters, so I like walked around the park and made sure that there was like birthday parties who got platters, and then afterwards there was so much cake, my sister walked around. And I think I've trained my sister a little bit to distribute prasadam other times, but she went to all the neighbors and brought extra cake. And
Nice.
there was a party the next day. I just want to say this because it was a little thing, but there was an Easter party the next day next door with 60 people, and they got platters and crackers and everything. So it ended up being like over 200 people, which was just my secret little satisfaction as a devotee. And it's a small thing, but you know, that's all.
I'm sure you heard many times that Prabhupada has said that if anybody gets even one bite of prasadam, one day it will act. One day it will act.
We will act.
In other words, they started this spiritual act. Started the journey back home right about just one bite. Just it will act. It's like, you know, like these books, we know Prabhupada said when they're like time bombs. You don't know when somebody's gonna pick it up, where and how they read it, you know. You may give a book to somebody, they give it to the neighbor gives it to somebody's son, the son gives it to somebody, you know, you don't know where the books are gonna go. And so you don't know when they're gonna pick up and say, oh, I didn't even know this book was here, and thus it's happened so many times already. People pick up a book, oh, I didn't know you had this book, or it's been sitting here for 20 years and I just decided that I should read it. So,
The books are persons, they have a life of their own. There was individuals and different organizations trying to end and stop the Hare Krishna movement. And Prabhupada, of course, would deal with it and this and that. But Prabhupada would say, they can't do anything. The bombs have already been dropped. The bombs have already been dropped. It's in people's homes all around the planet. They can't do anything.
Think of what happened in Russia, in the USSR, with Prabhupada's books, when that's humongous. You know, what happened there was communist control, and the devotees couldn't even, you know, publicly do anything. They had to have their meetings secretly in basements, and then You could read one book and it would be read by 40 different people, they pass it on, small books. And, Prabhupada predicted that the communist government would fall. And who would have thought that it did, the way it did? But it did. And it's all because of Prabhupada. Prabhupada stepping foot in the USSR and then the books going out, we can't even imagine, but that's the potency of those books. The message.
There's another thing we can learn from Lord Ram's pastimes, that for him to carry out his mission, he can use anybody. In this case, he used monkeys. So I'm hoping that at least some of us will be as good as the monkeys. But I'm not sure about myself at all. At least some people will be as good as the monkeys. Lord Ramachandra used them. And then what did he use the monkeys for? And the stones and all of that? There's going to be obstacles. So, in that case, in that pastime, Ravana is there. And we'll have our people also who are going to try and stop and are trying to stop Prabhupada's mission. It's going to happen. It's predicted, it's there in the 4th canto. We can't stop it, and it's going to happen. So we'll have to deal with always being alert to protect ourselves, but also to, if obstacles come in the way or people put up, things happen that are spoiling Prabhupada's mission, we have to do something about it. And we just can't look the other way and, okay, it's not hit me on one cheek and then give them the other cheek. It's not like that. Lord Ramachandra did not turn his cheek. He took Ravana out. And Ravana kept popping up heads one after the other. How many heads do you have? 10. So it's every time he popped his head, gone, finish him, until there was nothing left. So that's going to happen also.
When you were reading the summary of the 10th chapter of 9th canto, Prabhupada mentions the Marichi pastime. So what you're saying now, there in November 10th, 1977, Prabhupada gave right there a brilliant Ramayan analogy.
Yeah.
Ravana will kill, or Ram will kill. Better to be killed by Ram. So I won't go into the whole thing. Most of you are familiar with that, but it's a brilliant analogy from an elderly senile old man. A brilliant lucid analogy, inconceivable. Ravana will kill or Ram will kill, and he's referencing the Maricha right there, the Maricha analogy. And so Prabhupada's encouraging us to consistently find shelter in the camp of Ram.
Yes.
Yeah.
And deal with the infiltration in that way.
But Raj Prabhu, you were making a comment?
Oh, Hare Krishna. Well, I was thinking, when Mataji was speaking about giving her mother some Ganges water, your father, and all kind of different things that we do for our dear ones when they're in this kind of situation. And so this pastime happened in the Tetra Yuga, right? Because Ramachandra was performing the funeral ceremony.
Yeah.
It's interesting how this process is so easy and so simplified that the Lord himself, taking the birth of Lord Chaitanya, have given to us. And it's the easiest process we are bypassing all the rituals and sacrifices.
Yeah. This is the yagi, this is the ritual of the age to chant Hare Krishna.
Right. So if you want to be in vogue, you do this movement.
That's what Bhagavatam says. If you want to be the really intelligent people, they do Sankirtan, they chant Hare. Medasa is intelligent, Sumedasa is the most intelligent people, the supremely intelligent. Yage Sankirtana Prayer, Janti Sumedasa, they chant Hare Krishna in this age. Well, with that in mind, for our next part of the program, Raj Prabhu, would you like to lead a kirtan? Hare
Yeah.
Krishna Mahamantra.
Mhm.
Lord Ramachandra ki.
Jai.
Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki.
Jai.
Lord Ramachandra's appearance day ki.
Jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Mananda Prabhu. I'm so glad to get your association here. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much for facilitating all this.